This is Jocko Podcast number 297 with Echo Charles and me, Jocko Willink. Good evening, Echo.
Good evening.
I was walking through Washington Square when a puff of smoke issuing from the factory building caught my eye. I reached the building before the alarm was turned in. I saw every feature of the tragedy visible from outside the building. I learned a new sound. A more horrible sound than description can picture. It was the thud of a speeding, living body on a stone sidewalk. Thud. Dead. Thud. Dead. Thud. Dead. 62 thud. Deads. I call them that because the sound and the thought of death came to me each time at the same instant. There was plenty of chance to watch them as they came down. The height was 80 feet. The first 10 thud deads shocked me. I looked up, saw that there were scores of girls at the windows. The flames from the floor below were beating in their faces. Somehow I knew that they too must come down. And something within me, something that I didn't know was there, steeled me. I even watched one girl falling, waving her arms, trying to keep her body upright until the very instant she struck the sidewalk. She was trying to balance herself. Then came the thud. A silent, unmoving pile of clothing and twisted, broken limbs. As I reached the scene of the fire, a cloud of smoke hung over the building. I looked up to the 7th floor. There was a living picture in each window, 4 screaming heads of girls waving their arms. "Call the firemen," they screamed, scores of them. "Get a ladder," cried others. They were all as alive and whole and sound as were we who stood on the sidewalk. I couldn't help thinking of that. We cried to them not to jump. We heard the siren of a fire engine in the distance. The other sirens sounded from several directions. "Here they come," we yelled. "Don't jump. Stay there." One girl climbed out on the window sash. Those behind her tried to hold her back. Then she dropped into space. I didn't notice whether those above watched her drop because I had turned away. Then came that first thud. I looked up, another girl was climbing onto the windowsill. Others were crowding behind her. She dropped. I watched her fall, again the dreadful sound. 2 windows away, 2 girls were climbing onto the sill. They were fighting each other and crowding for air. Behind them I saw many screaming heads. They almost fell together, but I heard 2 distinct thuds. Then the flames burst out of the windows on the floor below them and curled up into their faces. The firemen began to raise a ladder. Others took out a life net, and while they were rushing to the sidewalk with it, 2 more girls shot down. The firemen held it under them. The bodies broke it. The grotesque simile of a dog jumping through a hoop struck me. Before they could move the net, another girl's body flashed through it. The thuds were just as loud. It seemed as if there had been no net there. It seemed to me that the thuds were so loud that they might have been heard all over the city. I had counted 10. Then my dulled senses began to work automatically. I noticed things that it had not occurred to me before to notice little details that the first shock had blinded me to. I looked up to see whether those above watched those who fell. I noticed that they did. They watched them every inch of the way down and probably heard the roaring thuds that we heard. As I looked up, I saw a love affair in the midst of all the horror. A young man helped a girl to the windowsill. Then he held her out, deliberately away from the building, and let her drop. He seemed cool and calculating. He held out a second girl the same way and let her drop. Then he held out a third girl who did not resist. I noticed that. They were as unresisting as if he were helping them onto a streetcar instead of into eternity. Undoubtedly, he saw that a terrible death awaited them in the flames, and his was only a terrible chivalry. Then came the love amid the flames. He brought another girl to the window. Those of us who were looking saw her put her arms about him and kiss him. Then he held her out into space and dropped her. But quick as a flash, he was on the windowsill himself. His coat fluttered upward. The air filled his trouser legs. I could see that he wore tan shoes and hose. His hat remained on his head. Thud dead. Thud dead. Together they went into eternity. I saw his face before they covered it. You could see in it that he was a real man. He had done his best. We found out later that in the room which he stood, many girls were being burned to death by the flames and were screaming in an inferno of flame and heat. He chose the easiest way and was brave enough to even help the girl he loved to a quicker death after she had given him a goodbye kiss. He leaped with an energy as if to arrive first in that mysterious land of eternity. But her thud dead came first. The fireman raised the longest ladder. It reached only to the 6th floor. I saw the last girl jump and miss it. And then the faces disappeared from the window. But now the crowd was enormous. Though all this had occurred in less than 7 minutes, the start of the fire and the thuds and the deaths, I heard screams around the corner and hurried there. What I had seen before was not so terrible as what followed. Up in the 9th floor, girls were burning to death before our very eyes. They were jammed in the windows. No one was lucky enough to be able to jump, it seemed. But one by one, the jams broke. Down came the bodies in a shower, burning, smoking, flaming bodies with disheveled hair trailing upward. They had fought each other to die by jumping instead of fire. The whole sound. Unharmed girls who had jumped on the other side of the building had tried to fall feet down. But these fire tortures, suffering ones fell inertly, only intent that death should come to them on the sidewalk instead of in the furnace behind them. On the sidewalk lay heaps of broken bodies. A policeman later went about with tags which he fastened with wires to the wrists of the dead girls, numbering each with a lead pencil. And I saw him fasten tag number 54 to the wrist of a girl who wore an engagement ring. A fireman who came down the stairs from the building told me that there were at least 50 bodies in the big room on the 7th floor. Another fireman told me that more girls had jumped down the air shaft at the rear of the building. I went back there into the narrow court and saw heaps of dead girls. The floods of water from the fireman's hose that ran into the gutter were actually stained red with blood. I looked upon the heap of dead bodies, and I remembered these girls were shirtwaist makers. I remembered their great strike of last year, in which these same girls had demanded more sanitary conditions and more safety precautions in the shops. These dead bodies were the answer. And that is an article, first person account, obviously, about the nightmare of a fire at the Triangle Shirtwaist Company in Greenwich Village, New York City. And the story came from United Press reporter William Shepard, who happened to be there, just watching the disaster unfold, and who phoned in the details to a young newspaper employee by the name of Roy Howard, who telegraphed the story to the nation's newspapers. And that article was first published in the Milwaukee Journal, March 27th, 1911. And the fire killed 146 garment workers, 123 women, 23 men. The oldest victim was 43 years old, the youngest 14 years old. Many were recent Italian or Jewish immigrants. And part of the reason that they were up there, even as this fire consumed the building, is that many of the doors to the stairwells and the exit doors in the factory were locked shut in order to prevent workers from taking unauthorized breaks, or to stop them from maybe stealing some of the goods that they were making. Just a complete nightmare. And we try and find some good in that story. If there is any to be found, it's that fire led to eventual improvements of safety standards in these types of factories. And this singular event was a catalyst for massive growth of the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. And that union got together and fought and were successful in improving working conditions in these types of sweatshops. And over time in America, these conditions did improve. And this is also a story of the incredible sacrifices that American workers have made over time to build this great country and to build our great economy. And if you look universally, you can see improvements in the conditions that people work in America. But we have to remember that there are other areas of the world that have not made any of these improvements. And much of the labor conditions overseas, especially when it comes to the garment industry, the conditions are still brutal. There's a group called Anti-Slavery International, and they report that about a fifth of the cotton production in the world can be linked to forced labor. For example, much of the forced labor in China, those are ethnic Uyghurs. Those are the slaves over in China. No safety training, no safety protocol, exposure to harmful chemical, bad air, extreme work hours, 9 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. It's bad. conditions that are illegal in this country. But it's the standard overseas in many places. And why am I talking about this? Because we have been trying to do something about it, and we actually have been doing something about it for a few years. Who's we? It's myself and the rest of the incredible team, including the team that actually works the machines at Origin USA. Incredible group that gets this work done and takes pride in this work. And the team at Origin USA and Jocko Fuel is who's making a difference right now. And that includes my main partner in these two endeavors, Peter Roberts. And he is here once again to get us up to date on this fight to improve the condition of manufacturing and bring it back to America where we have a positive work environment. We have a good work environment. We have a work environment where when you walk the floors, you have people with pride and smiles on their faces in the job that they're doing. So, Pete, thanks for coming back, man. It's been a while.
Happy to be back. It's been way too long.
Well, if you haven't listened to, so you first came on the podcast was podcast 93. You were on podcast 93, podcast 141, podcast 94. Those are about a year apart each. September 2017, September 2018, September 2019 is when they came out. We recorded them all in late August, which is right now, late August 2021. We're recording this. We've recorded all of them at the Origin Jiu-Jitsu camp, immersion camp up here in Maine. And we didn't record last year at all because it was the year of COVID 2020. And so we didn't do camp.
Yep.
Did I come up? I came up one time in 2020 for some reason. Didn't I?
I don't think so.
Was
no,
it zero?
No, because you would have seen the expanded facilities.
Oh, that's right.
So, I came out and saw you in Montana.
That's what
and
I
came out and saw you in California just at the beginning March of 2020 for the Vitamin Shop launch.
I must have come out right before COVID hit because I remember being up here in the winter because we were walking through the snow.
Yeah, that's right.
We were walking
right through the downtown.
Right down High Street,
yeah.
right? And yeah, so I knew I must have been right before COVID hit.
Must have been, yeah.
But if you haven't listened to those podcasts, if you want to know why Pete's here, if you want to know how we ended up joining forces and doing what we're doing, go back and listen to 93, 141, then 194. If you've listened to those, if you've been tracking, if you've heard any of Echo, Charles,
yes,
talking about various gear to purchase,
sure. Oh, yeah.
then this is what we've been talking about. So you probably are somewhat aware of the situation that's going on. But a lot has happened in the last 2 years since we did a podcast, and just wanted to bring you on, talk about what we've been doing, the progress that we've made, the setbacks we've had, the lessons that we've learned, and where we're planning to go from here. I mean, when you think about 2020 and everyone, big negative on 2020, everyone hated it, etc., all kinds of issues. But heading into 2020, coming out of 2019, we had a ton of really positive momentum, a lot of positive growth. Things were kind of on a really solid track. Trajectory was looking outstanding. And so we were in a pretty good place. Now, we also had some missteps. I know you like to call them tuition payments.
Yes. We did make some tuition payments. Last time I was on, I filled you in on the jeans tuition payment. Remember we did that real time.
Yep.
What it was, I had to make like 500 pairs of jeans before we got them right.
Yep.
That grew a little bit.
We have been struggling with and we paid some tuition payments on Molk bars.
We did, and actually when you were reading that, I couldn't stop, but I couldn't help but think about my great Yaya, and she was an immigrant from Sparta, Greece,
So Yaya is Greek for is that just like your personal
grandmother.
nickname, or is that everybody?
No, everybody that's Greek has it. You call them
You
Yaya.
can't just throwing out Yaya around here.
Yeah, no.
I'm American.
She lived to 105. So even my kids got to meet her.
Is that the aunt of?
That's the mother of my Aunt Kay, who just turned 90. You sent that video to.
No, your mom's in the your
my
was
aunt's
it great aunt?
Yes,
she's in the game.
Oh yeah, she's in the game.
She freaking
loves you. She's like,
she's listening to this podcast right now.
She's like, if I ever get to meet Jocko, I've got to put that makeup on. I got to make sure I look good. Yeah, she just turned 90.
Dang.
And so she has trusted me with. It's really with a crocheted blanket that my great Yaya was a Lowell mill girl. So she worked in these mills you speak of as an immigrant in the very early 1900s in Lowell, Massachusetts. And she used
this story took place in 1911.
Exactly. And I was thinking about this the whole time. She used to pick up the skinners, like the little bit of yarn, and she'd take it home with her and she'd crochet and make blankets and stuff. And,
so you have one of those blankets?
I have it in my office.
Dang.
Yeah. I got it. I think it might have been during last year at some point. She shipped it up to me. She'd been trying to figure out who she should give it to and trust it to, basically.
Then she saw that you had a freaking
Factory.
loom.
Oh yeah, I gotta send it up.
This is the guy.
So I've got it up in there.
What an incredible thread of personal history.
Yeah, I'm gonna frame it. At some point when we build a massive new factory, it'll be hanging in the front lobby.
That's like incredible. So that story that's Yaya could have been.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking about. Like, the working conditions, of course, have improved since then. But when people ask me, like, why would someone want to work in a factory? I think about, well, I talk about my grandparents and great grandparents who all worked in factories, tanneries, and mills, and they always said to their kids, our parents, the baby boomers, don't work in the factories. But they always romanticized about working in the factories. And I never could figure out why did they romanticize about it and always reflect on it, but then tell their kids not to do it. I didn't understand until right now. That's why. Because the generation before them, their parents were dealing with shit like that.
Yeah.
Just terrible working conditions, hot, bare feet. The woman up in Lewiston, Maine, Rachel DeGrosier, she told me a story about the Bates Mill in Lewiston where we got our first loom from. And she said one of the girls used to run up the hill for her shift, and her sister would run down the hill, and she'd pass her shoes off, and then she'd come down into the mill and work. And it was just survival.
Yeah. So not only was it hard work, but you didn't have enough money to buy a pair of shoes.
Exactly.
And what's really interesting about this is, like, we were up at the factory the other day at the boot plant.
Pretty awesome, isn't it?
And Andy was telling a story. Andy, who oversees all that production.
Yeah.
He was telling a story that the first step in getting a pair of boots produced is a tag gets printed out. So an order comes in, that order gets printed out. And Andy's all about efficiency. And the orders would have the human being's name on it that ordered it. So if Echo Charles ordered a pair of boots, it would say Echo Charles, size 11, Bison, this sole, whatever. And then everyone knows what to make. And he just, to save ink or whatever,
took it off
and make that tag a little bit smaller. Say, oh, we don't need to know the person's name. Why is that important? And the workers said, hey, what are you doing? We want to know who we're making this. We want to know who Jim Smith. We want to know that we're making Jim Smith's boots. And that shows you what their mindset is, right? The mindset is that they're personally connected. They're personally engaged in making the product, quality product. They want to know who by name, who it's going to.
The thing is after the whole national shutdown last year, and we pivoted, and I'm sure we'll talk about pivoting to making some face coverings. But then we came back to the footwear plant. We dealt with some major issues getting back into production. It just wasn't running smooth. And it almost like there was, at that point, a lot of people are home, they're collecting, the
additional unemployment,
whatever. Yeah, additional employment money. They didn't have to be at work, whatever. And so I said, time out. And I talked to Andy, and I said, we need to get them more engaged. I said, so we're going to shut down production for a whole day. they're going to pick their leather, the team here, and they're going to make boots for each other. They can make them for themselves or they can make them for a loved one. And I want to see what happens. Well, guess what happened? Every single boot off the line was a first quality boot. And so it was kind of a flank. I gathered them all up at the end of the day. They have huge smiles on their faces. And I said, what'd you guys think about that? And they're like, that was awesome. I said, you made footwear for each other. And they're like, yeah. And I said, and you injected soul into it because you cared. They're like, yeah. And I said, and that's what we need to do for every customer. And now every name on there, and you know, when Andy stripped it off, they're like, put that name back on. If we're going to inject soul into this thing, we need to know there's a real human behind it. So
yeah, you know what? You were making boots for each other, right? Yeah. And now you're going to make boots for America.
Exactly. and production improved and quality improved. And yeah, man, it was a phenomenal little team building flank, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's awesome. What prior to COVID hitting though, we got hit. Like we made some missteps on milk bars. So little background is we want to make milk bars, right? Protein bars, good for you. I have probably ridiculously high standards of what I want them to be.
And I just want to eat a damn candy bar.
Yeah, you want to eat a candy bar. Well, and I also have high standards that I want it to taste like a candy bar, but I don't want to use any sugar.
Sure.
I want it to have a certain amount of protein in it. Want it to be natural. So it's a really tough thing to do. And we kept trying to crack this formula. And probably the biggest mistake we made, I would say, is we bought a bunch. We kind of settled on a bar.
We did.
That was hella good, as they say in California. This thing was hella good. It kind of tasted like a Reese's peanut butter cup, but it was bigger, and it had no sugar in it, and it was covered in thick chocolate. I mean, it was redonkulous, man.
Yeah,
it was good to go. So we thought, okay, this is it. But the problem was it was really difficult to make, and a bunch of bar producers around the country
wouldn't do it.
Couldn't do it, can't do it, won't do it, couldn't stand behind it. So, of course, what did we do? We'll just do it ourselves.
100%. Invest in the machinery. Get it done. And being naive is definitely a superpower, but being ignorant and arrogant is definitely not.
There's a balance that sometimes the line gets crossed.
Well, we've been on such a solid run. The line did get crossed. And when that thing went off to shelf life testing, it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And
basically, if I tried to sum this up, we were doing a process called extruding, which means you squeeze out this tasty, like the peanut butter cup part, that middle part. Yeah. You squeeze that out through a machine and it kind of just plops
like a spaghetti
out.
Extruder.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the problem was when you do that, you squeeze out a lot of the natural fluid inside of it.
The oils.
It gets squeezed out. And so when you put it on the shelf for the shelf life test, after whatever, 2-3 months, which is how long it needs to taste good for. It actually needs to taste longer for that.
Yeah,
but
longer.
As soon as we got to 2-3 months, it was like, hey, this doesn't taste the same. This is dry. Wait a second. This isn't working.
You're refurbishing those old mills because it turned into a brick.
Yeah.
It was not good. So I just actually told Joe on Friday before camp, I said, hey man, let's get this equipment on pallets and get it wrapped and make way for some other things. So it was a tuition payment that we learned from, and because of that, we hired and recruited a food scientist that came in from Arizona, another food scientist who serves for quality. It was kind of a point where looking at the organizational structure as we're growing was like, we've got to have the right people in the right places if we're going to start doing shit like this. Mm-hmm. We've been shotgunning it for so long and just grinding it out. That really was a defining moment in how we need to start thinking. We got stores ready to buy this. We got, Vitamin Shop. They're like, when are the bars coming? They're ready to place a purchase order for these things. Imagine if we had just done it and sent it out and all of it like molded or something.
Yeah. Well, if it didn't mold, even if it just tasted dry.
Even if it just tasted dry or just crumbled, it would have been bad.
The latest version, because we're still on the...
Oh, we're still on it. Yeah,
The latest version that I had was freaking legit. And it's weird because it's like a bar, but it tastes like a relatively dense brownie. It tastes like a dense, moist brownie.
When you say it, it sounds better.
Bro, no, I'm saying, and then it's coated with chocolate.
Yeah.
It's freaking nuts.
It's good.
It's really good.
Yeah. And we're ready to go, but we've slowed down to speed up.
Yeah.
Just making sure we get it right this time.
Yeah, because we got people that we are waiting on that one.
Yeah.
Myself included.
Yeah.
That one is freaking good. All right, so we hit the Milk Bar. It took us a while. We learned some lessons there. Little too aggressive, little too arrogant on what we thought we could get away with and what we thought we knew. And you know what? We've also succeeded with that a bunch. You know, you're going to take some losses.
Yeah.
You know, you go out, you take risks, a lot of risk. We've taken a lot of risks along the way. Every once in a while, you're going to get an L up on the board.
That was a big L. Oh, man.
Are we going to sell that equipment? What are we going to do with it? Or are we just going to wait
probably
on
sell it? We'll probably sell it. We're going to have to sell it.
That's going to be a loss.
Yeah. Pennies on the dollar.
Anyone need an extruder out there? Let us know.
And the packaging machine was the big one. Yeah, a beautiful packaging machine.
All right. So if anyone's looking for that, let us know. We got some stuff.
We should just talk about the other tuition payment then.
Which other one?
The canned tuition payment.
Yeah, well, that was in the middle of COVID.
Yes,
right?
it was.
Before we get there, let's talk about when COVID hit, because we made a freaking legit pivot. I'll tell you my recollection. 2 months before COVID hit America.
Yep.
I had 3 or 4 friends, a couple SEALs, maybe like a SEAL, doctor, medic, someone else, sent me, text, email, whatever, saying like, hey, dude, you should make masks. And you and I had a very quick discussion. I said, hey, man, there's this thing going on overseas. And what I was thinking is we'd ship them overseas. That was the conversation that I had with my friends. It was like all of them were saying, hey, they're going to need these masks. And you pulled up a couple examples of N95 masks because that was kind of what was being asked for. So now it was, all right, well, you said to me, hey, we'd have to like tool up for it. We got to buy these machinery. We were already kind of paranoid about buying more machinery that we could questionably have to go sell later. And you just looked at it like, hey, man, this is probably a no-go. It's going to be an investment, buy machinery to make these masks. And I said, cool. All right, Roger, no factor. And then COVID started. Well, now you fast forward a couple months and we could check emails. I think I was maybe 2 months ahead of it.
I thought you got a call from like a friend at the Department of Defense or something.
That happened a little later.
Okay.
So then as it started ramping up in America, well, that was probably, yeah, you're right. That was probably I got a call from the DOD, a friend from the DOD, a friend that's a doctor, a friend that's a SEAL medic overseas, and like someone else. So there was definitely a triangulation that I should have paid attention to. And I did, and talked to you about it. But, sometimes you just look at something and think that's probably not the best move. And that's what you said. You were like, hey, man, we'd have to buy this plastic. It probably was, I think it might have been called an extruder. I was like, no more extruders. We're not doing it, man. Forget about it. So we said no. But then, so COVID then starts hitting America. And then I had another conversation with you because now you started hearing people started talking about masks, right? Oh, you should wear
anything.
A mask.
Cut up a t-shirt, put it around your face.
Yeah. So, and I forget the pattern that happened here, but I do remember I said, bro, we just need to make something to put over your face. And then you were like, okay. And then this is when we were in lockdown. Now we're in lockdown.
Yeah.
So I actually had to get cable news because I didn't have cable news, but I wanted to see what the hell was going on. So then I'm watching freaking Fauci. And he's like, don't wear masks. They don't help. And then I text you or call you like, hey, dude, they're saying masks aren't doing anything, so forget it. And you're like, okay, cool. And then the next week, it was like 5 days later. It might have been Monday to Friday because it was Friday that I was like, hey, bro, they're saying you have to wear something over your face. Let's go. And you're like, on it. And then you designed them over that weekend. That was a Friday?
Yeah, it was
by
Friday.
Monday.
Designed on Friday. Had the team come in, move all the machines around. And we started cutting and sewing, shut down all the divisions. We had sat down in my office, myself and Dawn, our CFO, and talked about what happens if like things get crazy? What happens if things get crazy? What happens if supply chains shut down? How does that going to affect what we're doing? And the last thing, you want to do is get caught in the chaos of supply chains. And I remember we sat down and we actually looked at our projections for the year and we started cutting 10%, 20%, 30%. We cut all the way up to 70% of our projections out. And then we found a way to continue to survive.
Yeah, survival.
And then...
Yeah, because by the way, now all of a sudden, every jiu-jitsu school in America shut down.
Exactly. And we knew...
Which was crazy.
52% of our business for Origin is martial arts, is jiu-jitsu, is gis. It's a crazy statistic. 52%. And we're like, it's gonna shut down and we're gonna lose hardcore. So we found out that like it was 70% we could afford to lose. We figured out how we could lean things out. And ultimately that Friday pivot, we were the first ones in America to make face coverings, really. And it was cool design. We made what, $250,000, maybe over $250,000 of them. The factory came together and it was, honestly, it was the most beautiful thing we've done as a team. It was really inspiring. It was like a freaking beehive when you walked in that place in the morning, ripping out 10,000 a day.
Yeah, you were sending me texts. We're at, at lunchtime, you'd be like, we're at 3,970.
Oh yeah.
We are getting it on.
Yeah, it was crazy, and it went fast. It was 6-7 days a week, working long days. We had the fire departments in the hospital. We decided to pivot and we took the collar foam from the gi, like the whole collar.
Oh, yeah,
and we took that.
Face shields.
Yeah, we ordered bulk lamination paper. We had 5 laminators set up, and you just put the lamination paper in the laminators. Then we took those and then we just stitched a piece of gi collar on them and put a piece of underwear elastic band on from our tights, and filling up boxes and sending those to the hospital so they had face shields. It was phenomenal to be part of just that. What I felt like was almost a wartime effort. There was this sense of nobody knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, no, I was going to say in the early days, now you can look at it and be like, well, mask, no mask. But at that time it was like,
everybody's on the same page.
Everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
You need to wear something over your face or else you catch this stuff, right? Everyone was saying that. And in hospitals, they didn't have it. And first responders didn't have it.
No.
So we were donating thousands of these things to first responders, donating stuff to hospitals. And people were buying it as well because now companies needed to keep their employees coming in if they were in business that was, what did they call the critical need, or what was the? Essential worker. They needed to supply masks to their people. So they started ordering. It was freaking crazy.
I had one guy, he was on the fire department. He drove up to the factory and he parked outside, and we like transferred some face coverings to him, and he was in the back of his truck and he like had the hatch open.
Dude, this was like Black Plague.
It was wild.
This is when people. It was Black Plague time. I remember that the guy's like passing you stuff. You're sending me a video. You're like, we're doing a test with this stuff right now. I'm like, dude, this is freaking crazy.
It was crazy. He's got like this little smoke puffer thing to figure out how much smoke goes through it, like to see if the virus can get through. I mean, it was wild.
Wild.
And I'll tell you what, I've always been into like post-apocalyptic movies.
You're living out your childhood fantasy, bro.
I was like, I'm having so much fun right now just doing this. I mean, obviously that was short-lived. It became really annoying to not be doing what we love to do, and be stuck in lockdown and all that bullshit. But we got through it.
Yeah, and so this thing going from making jiu-jitsu, because you ended up shutting down
everything.
all lines just to make face shields, face coverings. That's what we were doing.
Face shields and face coverings. We shut down one line at a time over the course of maybe 5 to 8 days, I think, including the boot.
I remember you and I'd be talking, and you'd be like, bro, you'd be like, what do you think? How much material should we use? How much material? And how many do you think we're going to sell? And you and I are just literally throwing our best guess and betting hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of material
Yeah.
on how long this is going to last. Because it didn't take, you fast forward from Black Plague Day, whenever that was, when it just everyone thought, and then you fast forward a few weeks, and I remember saying, "Hey man, this mask thing, it ain't going to stick." Like there's other reports are coming out, and again, at the time you're just trying to do the best judgment that you can use. But it seemed to me like, hey, this is gonna fade, and I mean, obviously the mask thing didn't fade.
No.
But what happened was other manufacturers sort of started getting in the game and ordering stuff from overseas, and then they're mass producing it, and then it's like, okay, so now the market was completely saturated and flooded. So we kind of owned the market for how many months?
Months. It was months.
3 months?
I think it was longer than that. We were ripping.
Owned the market.
We went through every bit of fabric. We had Warpwick, our compression apparel. We went through all of our denim. Like we didn't make any out of our gi pants material, our twill.
That's right.
We went through all of our fabric, and the crazy thing was, and it was kind of a blessing in disguise too. In the background, shit started to fall apart in our supply chain, starting with our tannery in Maine, where we were tanning all of our leather for the boots. It was a Tasman tannery, and I remember them calling me like maybe 4, 5, 6 months in, saying, "I don't think we're going to survive." And I'm thinking, holy shit! Like this tannery, the last tannery in the state of Maine that's been around for 100 years, they don't think they're going to survive. I started to think about our other supply chains.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting on the phone with someone from the federal government, and he said to me, "There's 3 tanneries in the United States of America that can make the boots for America's military. It's going to kill us if this tannery shuts down." And so he was going to partially fund us purchasing this tannery. I got on the phone with Norm Tasman, the head of the Tasman family. I'm talking to this guy down in Texas about how to keep this thing alive. Ultimately, it was an elephant we just, we didn't want to take down. And
yeah, well, you and I were having, that's another like $1 million of conversation you and I are having about, do we do? Well, we break open the coffers. What are we going to do? You want to roll? And it's like,
I think I said no. I think I remember calling you like, "Bro, I don't think we should do this."
You went to it.
Oh yeah.
You went to it.
Yep.
And you called me on the way home and you're like, "Bro, this is a you didn't call it a lemon, but you were like, this is a lot. This is a lot. There's a lot that needs to be done. There's a lot of management and leadership that would need to take place." You were basically saying you would have to surrender other fronts that we're trying to fight on in order to make this happen.
Yep.
And it was just a no-go.
And so because of that, I started getting a hold of all of our suppliers and seeing where they were at. And everybody started having the same story. Can't get labor, can't make the product. No one standing at looms, no one in the dye houses, no one injecting soles for boots. And it started to get pretty shady from that perspective. So just really managing that whole year from a supply chain perspective, when to slow down on the face covering thing, how to pivot back up. And that whole time we lost our denim weaver. I don't know if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't weave denim anymore. And we had
real quick, I think where we got lucky, I got lucky because I was saying, "Hey bro, they're not going to make people wear masks much longer. That ain't going to happen." And so we started to taper. And when we started to taper, they kept making people wear masks. But we got lucky in that so many other people now came on the market and started making them and bringing them in from overseas. However long it took them to go to China and say, "Hey, we need these things." And it took them time to run the cycle, bake them, and then ship them over here. By the time they actually showed up here, we were already in the downswing of making masks. So we got lucky in the fact,
perfectly.
Because I was thinking, it didn't seem possible that America would still be wearing masks after, because it didn't take long for people to say, "Oh, it's actually only 10% effective," and then you had the people showing the videos with that smoke stuff coming out and being like, "Yeah, this is," again, couldn't know the future. But I think that was a stroke of luck. The fact that because otherwise we would have been sitting on, however many. We were doing it week by week. I remember you're like, what do you think? 30,000 more for 50,000 more?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm like, let's do a half a week more, and like it was those kind of numbers.
Somebody emailed us about profiteering. Somebody emailed me about profiteering, and I sent him an email back, and I said, we employ 100 hardworking blue-collar Americans. When Google called us and asked us for 40,000 masks and asked us how much it cost, how much is one? $15. How much is 40,000? $15. It's because we need to keep 100 hardworking Americans working and get out of this thing so that we can get back into our supply chains. And if we had to fund those supply chains, which we did, we had to fund finding a new denim manufacturer and commit to massive amounts of denim to weave denim, and really secure the supply chain. Like we played it. I think by design we played it well. There was we were lucky within there, but by design we played it well. I think it was just real strategic planning, keeping everybody motivated to want to continue working when they didn't have to. Especially in the time. It was scary, but we had such a good team. It was just a tremendous team. I can't say enough good things about them for sticking it out when they didn't have to.
Yeah. The government was giving away money to people that were unemployed for whatever reason.
Yep.
And it wasn't a normal unemployment. There was additional unemployment. There was like COVID unemployment.
Yeah.
And it was a substantial amount of money that people were getting paid. And I knew people out in California that were making a ton of money for staying at home.
Yeah.
And more money than a lot of people could make work in a job.
100%.
And that's a tough market to compete with.
Yep.
Hey, do you want to make $2,000 a month working 40 hours a week, doing a hard job? Or do you want to make $2,000 $2,000 a month doing nothing?
Yeah.
And a lot of people just said, doing nothing, we'll take that.
And all of our was a nightmare. All of our people could have just gone and collected, you know what I mean? And actually, they still did receive, but they didn't rest on that. You know what I mean? They were part of it. I would do like weekly motivational speeches and shit. Like not meant to be motivational, but like, look at what you people are doing.
That was good too. Like again, in the bubonic plague phase of when we started making the face shields that were going to hospitals that the hospitals couldn't get, that they thought were absolutely critical at the time. Otherwise, everyone's going to catch COVID.
Yeah.
And so that felt really good, and I think that was good for the team to know that America was calling out for this equipment, this personal protection equipment, and Origin was able to, on a weekend, over a weekend, start delivering. And that has to do with the ability, having this capability of doing everything there.
Yep.
Everything. Design, the material was all sitting there. The people with the skills to make patterns, the people with the skills to sew whatever needs to be sewn, that's freaking legit.
Vertical integration inside the United States of America.
Yeah. No one else had it.
Nope.
All right. So the tannery shuts down. You're out hunting for, this was cool too, because now we need leather. And I think, how do we talk about it? People found out that we needed leather.
I think they were listening to your podcast. It was the Seidel family.
Yeah.
And they called us and said, heard you guys need help. And we're like, oh yeah, we need help. And they said, we can take care of you. So we sent them what we were using for leather, and we went back and forth with iterations as we were coming out of kind of the mask making COVID thing and trying to get back into making footwear. We had a little bit left of supply. They ramped up for us. They started tanning to our spec, and they got us back on track. They sourced the bison, because I don't think they were doing bison at the time, and that's a big thing for us is American Lakota bison leather.
Because that bison leather feels good.
Buttery.
It is, man. You want to make like a pillow out of it when you get them, right? You want to make a pillow. You want to make like a washcloth out of it. It's that freaking nice.
I just love the historical nature of it, man. Like, of the Tatanka.
Mm-hmm. It's freaking legit.
So they were awesome.
They just stepped right up to the plate.
Oh yeah, stepped right up, hammered it out for us, got it done, and got us back on track. And I think that a lot of these, we were all in the same place is the thing. Like all of the supply chain, they're all in the same place, dealing with the lack of people. All of our suppliers, everybody dealing with the lack of people, and those relationships, because we've built them for so long with our supply chain, they're trusting they're going to get paid. So when we're placing these massive blanket purchase orders, if we didn't have that relationship of trust between us, that just wouldn't have happened. So, I guess good on us for building those relationships over the years so that we survived and thrived ultimately.
And salute to Seidel reaching out like 100%. That. I mean, that's unbelievable.
That's because you though.
That's so freaking cool though. It's like I was saying the other day to somebody, when someone listens to the podcast, I have a relationship with someone if they listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Because we have the same inside jokes. They know, they know some things. They know some little inside jokes. We use the same words. We got stories to refer back to that we experienced together. Like if you're just listening to Echo and I, you're listening to me talk about invading the beaches at Normandy or going on the Bataan Death March. We shared that experience if you're listening. So we have shared common history together. If you're just listening to this, we have common history together. And that's what a relationship. Oh, I was talking to Andy about it, Andy Stumpf. When you meet another SEAL that is younger than you or older than you never served with him. That you were retired before they joined or you went in after they retired. You still know them and you still have a common shared history, that something that you did together. You weren't together, but you both went through buds. You both were a new guy in a platoon. You both jumped out of an airplane. Yeah. You both went through Hell Week. You have these common things. So you have an actual relationship with someone you've never met before. So it's the same thing with the podcast. So when you get someone like the Seidel family, they're like, oh, Jocko needs leather. Oh, okay, cool. Like we know him.
Yeah.
Let's reach out.
I get it. It's like showing up to this immersion camp and everybody showing up for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's direct connection.
Hey, where were we? How far along were we in making boots when COVID hit? Like we were pretty embryonic.
Yeah, we had decided just to buy this facility, which was a Coca-Cola plant, and
so that was in 2019.
Yep, and we had just started
late 2019. It was late 2019.
Yep, late 2019. We had just started getting machinery moved in and setting up, and we weren't even really producing.
I was going to say, we hadn't really started producing yet. Nope. We had made boots.
Yeah.
We knew we could do it.
Yep.
We had the skills. We had the technology.
Yeah.
We weren't quite there yet.
No. And
so then in the middle of COVID, we lose the supply of the leather. We get the new supply of leather thanks to the Seidel crew.
Yeah.
And then we decide we're going to start making boots.
Yeah.
And we start making them.
Yeah. Yep. Barely, but yes.
Barely why?
It just a lot of reasons. Out of practice, number one. There was some bad seeds, I guess you could say. Also, there was some animosity. There was some negative attitudes, and those came out when I kind of flanked the team with, you're going to make yourselves or a family, a loved one, a pair of boots. Specifically, I wanted to gauge everybody's nonverbal reactions at the end of the day. And there was a couple of individuals that I thought would get there, or I questioned would get there, but I was hoping they would. I didn't think they would. And gauging their nonverbals, I was like, got it. They're not coming my way. So
maybe they weren't the right people for the
and
job.
It's amazing. Like you could have a team of 15. Let's say you had a team of 15 people making 50 pairs of boots a day. You'd think that if you lose 3, then you'd lose the same percentage in production. What happens is you actually gain. So it goes, you drop to 12 and now you're making 55 pairs. There's a, when cover and move is part of your culture, which it is for us, cover and move, and you want to cover and move for people you like, you're apt to move quicker and to be more responsive and to have better peripheral vision and to see where you can inject yourself to improve the process, and you give a shit and you inject your soul into it. And I think we had lost some of that, during COVID. The factory turned into a machine. It did. For better or for worse, it literally turned into a machine. When you walked in, there was like a beehive buzzing, and we were just cranking 6-7 days a week, 10 hours a day, just burning through thread and fabric. And there was motivation, but there wasn't a lot of culture building over those 3 or 4 months.
It was just heads down and go.
Heads down, man. And you know what? You got to do that shit sometimes. You got to do that shit. And 99% of the factory came out of it, adjusted, and it was wonderful. But there was a few folks that just didn't make it. And so once we took care of that, everything came around.
So you gave a quote the other day, or you asked a question, or you made the statement about how much it cost to make the first pair of Origin boots.
$500,000.
And then what's funny is someone said, well, those must have been some awesome boots. And I was kind of like, not really.
Yeah, right.
Like the first pair of boots that I got were like, I was like, send me, change these things. This sucked. Tongue fell out. Freaking soles coming off. Like, it wasn't that bad, but it was definitely, even to get the first prototype boot took a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, putting $500,000 of money, of our money into that, just buying equipment. And bro, you want to talk about freaking trust? Because I was sketch on boots.
Yeah.
Man, from the word go, I was sketch on boots because they seem very difficult. They look hard to make to me, right? I look at a pair of boots and I think, man, that seems like it's gonna be a problem. It's hard for me to understand how like a piece of thread goes through that big piece of leather and how's that gonna work and who's doing that, and it just seems like more challenging. And I brought this to your attention.
Yeah, you did.
I said, bro, look, man, it's hard to make gis. Like, this doesn't seem like a smart idea. And the other thing that scares me about it is, first of all, they're really expensive.
Yeah.
And second, if you make t-shirts, you got to make small, medium, large, extra large, right? If you make boots, you got to make size 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And by the way, one brand I wear an 11, another brand I wear a 10, another brand I wear a 13. So now you got people that are pissed off because it's not the right size.
Yep.
It just seemed to me, I was paranoid, man. I was definitely paranoid. And you're like, no, man, boots are easier than gis. You said to me. I was like, okay. And I believed you,
Easier than weaving.
Easier than weaving. And I said, okay. And that was a high level trust, bro. You might as well have had been playing Russian roulette with my head, because that's how I felt about it. And then we're spending $500,000 on freaking equipment, and I'm like, yep, cool, sounds great, man.
Yeah.
I'm holding my breath. And then you sent me the first pair that was like maybe version 4 or something, version 3, and I could already go, oh wait,
there's something there.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
So that was a high level of trust.
I appreciate that. I'm glad I didn't screw up on the Molk bars before that.
And then what's crazy is while all this is going on, well, we were running out of room overall, because now we're having to buy, because now Jocko Fuel is going berserk, right?
Well, everybody's got to understand we're self-funded. So we've never taken on capital. Like, we've always self-funded. If we make a profit, a large chunk of that gets injected back into what we're doing. And in 2017, at the grand opening, I don't know, what do we have how many employees did we have? 12 employees.
12. Yeah. I think when you and I shook hands, we had 8.
Okay, and so then we decided we were going to start Jocko Fuel. So everyone's sewing in the factory, and all the pallets of Jocko Fuel are in between the sewing machines. Like that was our warehouse. Was this factory floor was our warehouse too. You know, just winning at all costs. You know, whatever needs to happen. So.
And Jocko Publishing books are in there.
I know. I forgot about that shit.
Jocko Publishing, Mikey and the Dragon stacked up in
books.
there.
Oh man. So I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about blitz scaling we have 210 employees. You know, over 2020, we hired another 40 employees. You know, and so we're dealing with a lack of infrastructure, that, you know, really a decaying infrastructure. The fact that there's only, I don't know, 1 or 2 buildings left in our community, you know, within a half a mile radius that actually could hold our growth. And we did the boot plant. We invested in that. Coronavirus hit. We had invested in another facility for nutrition.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about the equipment. We bought a building.
Yeah.
So we're just getting crazy.
We're getting crazy. And we're when I say self-funding, I mean, you know, we're working with banks. We're working with the banks to make all this shit happen. Because we can see it. Now, I'm not sure if that's being naive as a superpower or just being naive, but I believe in our vision. You believe in our vision. And we know we've got something special. You know how I know that? Because we have people moving from all over America to work for us. I'm talking Colorado, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Georgia, I said Arizona.
Yeah.
Massachusetts, Connecticut. I'm everywhere. And when everyone's saying the same thing, like, I want to be part of this, I can see what you guys are doing. It's special. I get it. Like, and it's resonating with them. We just got to tell more people. So we invest in that's part of business. I mean, I learned a lot about organizational structure, and, you know, I've learned a way more than I ever thought I would know about running a business of this size, this magnitude, 5 facilities, 210 employees. I mean, it's a lot. And I never believed in titles, everybody just do what needs to be done. Literally, we got done eating steaks last night, and I was in the kitchen with the deck. We were washing we washed all the dishes, all the forks. Just do what needs to be done. Get shit done. But I do understand now, because of the situation, how you have to really detach to look at I hate to use the word battlefield, because it's not a battlefield, but to look at the organization, and do you have the right players in the right positions? Are you missing people? And sometimes just letting the fire burn. And what I mean by that, Hess Malm actually was saying this to me. Pete, you got to just let the fire burn for some of these things. You can't solve all the problems all the time. Now, you don't want to get it out of control. You don't want to become a blaze. I said, but if you can't solve this part of your company, like the issues we're dealing with, let's say in finance, we had a CFO, but we really need 4 people in that department because Don's working, 100 hours a week. He's like, you got to let the fire burn. And if it's not done perfectly, and if it's not closed, the quarterlies aren't closed on time, that's okay. Let the fire burn. Media, same thing. And focus on the things that really have a massive impact, and then get the people to solve the problems. I really, really learned that lesson this year.
Yeah. Prioritize and execute.
Yep.
And that's a huge one. And then decentralized command. And what decentralized command, ultimately, the power that it gives you when you're in a leadership position is you have the ability to look up and out instead of down and in. Yeah. So instead of looking down and in at your team, instead of looking down and in and what the schedule is for today and who's on the line and who's not and who's sick and who's not, instead of looking down and in at that, which takes away your overall vision of what's happening on the battlefield. Yes. You have to be looking up and out. And so, yeah, you definitely got that. And look, you're not going to solve every problem. And sometimes you got to be like, oh, yep, that's going to suck. Yep. Okay, got it. We accept that suck factor on that thing, because we can now focus on our efforts on something that would suck way worse and be much worse for everything that's going on here. But you again, you and I have some conversations that are $1 million conversations. We're making decisions, and what's funny to me is they're still like 3-minute conversations.
They're quick.
But like, because we bought a few buildings since 2019.
Yeah.
We've bought what, 4 more buildings?
Yeah, 3 going on 4. Yeah, with a new addition in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Actually, we're not buying a building; we're buying the business.
Yeah.
So,
but these are big investments, and the Jocko Fuel Warehouse, as everything was just overflowing, we needed to go big.
Yeah.
We needed to go big, and also needed to go big on our supply chain. Having enough stuff in stock that when people order, we can fulfill it.
well, the thing is as we were dealing, and I remember really sitting down on the phone with you, with Joe and Brian, our chief revenue officer and chief product officer, sitting down and saying, "Hey, listen, guys, learn something during this with apparel and footwear, where our supply chains are local. Let's say on the East Coast, I think shit's going to happen on the nutritional side. Let's lock down everything we can, the whole supply of monk fruit." And we ended up locking down aluminum too.
And that was kind of the big one.
That was
the lucky one.
That was a lucky.
I mean,
I didn't think I didn't think we were going to be affected by people not at bars drinking off a tap. And because normally, people are going to the store and buying 12 packs of beer, aluminum cans. Well, it's aluminum. Doesn't matter what the can is. It matters that there's an aluminum shortage. So like securing the supply chains of the raw ingredients in the cans allowed us to really eat market share at the same time. And I think to what you're saying is being able to look up and out versus get stuck in the trenches of just survival. It really allowed us to thrive. And actually it taught me how to be a CEO for the first time ever. So I was like, CEO, yeah, that's just a bullshit title that I don't want, but I actually get it, because some of the decisions that ultimately sometimes I just have to make, they're multi-million-dollar decisions, but they could make or break us, and I don't want to screw up, man. I don't want to screw up.
How good did it feel to take $250,000 of those precious cans of product and throw them away? Because that's exactly what happened. This is another tuition payment.
Yeah, that was a tough nut to swallow.
So 250,000 cans. 250,000 cans.
We had to destroy.
And this was, when was that? Was that 2020?
Yeah.
It was like
3/4 of the way through
3/4 of the way to 2020. So at that time, that was a big chunk for us.
Big chunk.
It's a big chunk now, but it's a much less substantial. It's been a year since then. But at that time, it was a lot.
Yeah.
And it was especially a lot because aluminum was short. It was hard to get the stuff run on the lines. So 250,000 cans was substantial.
Yes.
And we what had happened was we had leaked some of the cans of this 250,000 cans had been sealed wrong. And luckily,
it was like 1 in 6 that were actually leaking.
Yep. And so luckily we caught it. And then what do? We consulted legal. Oh, yep. Here's what you do. Oh, what? What did you do? You destroy them all.
Bro. I couldn't even watch it.
So,
couple tuition payments.
Yep. The funny thing about that was Main Thai, who
what?
So we're shipping this is Main Thai.
Yeah.
Main Thai, who's a part of the media department.
Yep.
Does he run the media department?
He's a media manager.
So the media manager, Main Thai, he when we had to destroy 250,000 cans of Go, of which 1 out of 6 was actually bad.
Yeah.
He didn't care. And he started making runs with his Jeep. He said he's got a lifetime supply now of Jocko Discipline Go at his house. He's got pallet upon pallet.
So there's an Amazon seller. There's an Amazon seller who's creeping up on us.
Main Thai needs to get checked out.
He loaded up though.
Yeah, he did. I was laughing my ass off when he was telling me.
Did he send you a video? Oh, he told you?
No, he just was telling me about it. He was like, "You gotta be kidding me! I went down there with my Jeep about 10 times."
His grandparents are in the game.
Yeah.
His grandmother drinks the go. She's always tagging like fire America, strong. You know? We said, we're sponsoring her now.
Yeah. She's
He's like 80. We're sponsoring
yeah,
her.
She's the freaking Jocko origin athlete.
Jeez.
All those are hard, but there's a couple other events that happened in the past couple of years that have been freaking really hard. Yeah, I mean, losing people.
Yeah. We lost two really good ones. We had this young kid, Mo, wasn't but 19 years old. Awesome kid, just started jiu-jitsu. This kid's life was sports. Basketball player in high school, just a tremendous athlete. And first time on the mats, I was like, this kid is going to be special. And he had just gotten into it. Dealing with depression, and ended up taking his own life during the whole pandemic. And just a terrible loss that really stunned, the factory and his team downstairs in the bunker. But I think, like, man, if I hate to say like put this on jiu-jitsu, but man, if he had started like a little bit earlier and gotten back into that team type of atmosphere, I know what it could have done for him. Like, I know what jiu-jitsu has done for people in his situation, and I actually should have pushed harder to like get him to training more, I didn't. Really shitty situation. We lost him, and then we also lost Lenny. So Lenny was he's the man. He's the guy that got us going, man. When it came to weaving, he did everything.
Just give us a little background on how you kind of found Lenny.
Yeah.
There was a need, kind of a desperate need
to weave fabric, because there wasn't any fabric in America that we could make gis with ultimately. And if you wanted fabric, you had to import it from China or Pakistan, and that wasn't an option. So I called around looking for knowledge, and we just asking everybody, who do you know who's done this before, driving around trying to find people. I literally like just chasing information, reconnaissance, and we discovered this guy, and I told him what we wanted to do. We had this old loom, and man, he said he'd help us refurbish it, and I didn't know what we were getting into. Again, naive when it came to weaving fabric, and this is.
So did you already have the loom at this point?
They came about at the same time. Found the loom and then found Lenny.
Where did you talk to him for the first time?
At the Bates Mill. We stood there and looked at that friggin' loom together.
So as you were going to get the loom, he went with you.
Yep. Through the chain of people that were involved in the project, he came into it. He was working with a museum to help them get the museum right and make sure the looms were right for this museum. And he came in, and we looked at this loom, and he straight up was like, I can make that work. And just those, I can make that work. 5 words. I was like, let's do it. Just blind faith. So Lenny, I mean, that guy, really, he's one of the main reasons for our success and our ability to do what we do. Because when I asked Lenny, and you've heard me say this before, how many people know what you knew? And he's like, a whole bunch. Like, how many? Like, how many in New England? He's like, well, at least 5. There's at least 5. 5 people, and he invested all of his knowledge into, obviously, myself and John and this young kid, Cam, who knows more than John and I put together times 10. So this young kid, Cam, who's in his early 20s, Lenny spent hours upon hours with him, teaching him over a 3-year period, and he passed, and it sucks bad. You know, like man, first time I broke down in a long time. Like losing him, he meant the world to the company and to the people of Origin, and just was such a tremendous asset. So we did start a scholarship program in his name. So that was pretty awesome. But yeah, so now the thing is on us. It's all on us. There's no more calling Lenny. I have a voicemail actually I kept on my phone. I'm never going to delete it. You know, it's like the last voicemail he left me. I listen to it every once in a while, actually. So he's the man. And his wife Thea, she still calls and stops by, and she's just heartbroken. I'll tell you what. When I talk about like the old timers, the last ones left, he was the last one. It was ones. That was plural. He's the last one. He was the last one in Maine. There ain't nobody else in Maine that has his knowledge.
Mm-hmm. The awesome thing is that if you wouldn't have done what you did, that never would have been captured.
No,
there'd be no cam. It just wouldn't have happened.
Gone. That the industry would be dead forever. Like when they say, "Oh, it's impossible to bring back," it would have been. It would have been virtually impossible to take back. So much so that there's a company in America that weaves denim, and they work for some brands. And they flew up to Maine recently, and I'm not going to say what the brands are, but they're well-known brands, international well-known brands. And there's a guy here who's been in the industry for 30 years, 40 years, New York City, big denim guy, ran programs for the biggest denim brands. And I said, "Man, why are you in Maine? Like, why are you here?" And he's like, "Can I film your operation?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Have at it. Film it. Like, I don't care." He's like, "How'd you figure out how to do all this?" I said, "We just figured it out. We just use common sense." He's like, "Yeah, but how did you learn? Where'd you get the operators?" I said, "We hired them without any skill, and we trained them, and we taught them about our culture and what we're all about. And they bought in, and they became better at it because they care." And he just couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe what's happening. And he said, "You're the only ones that can do this." I said, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You're outside of California. This company is the only ones that can make jeans." I said, "What about all the brands you work with, the big ones?" He said, "I've asked them all the same question. Why don't you guys set up your own manufacturing?" And they all have the same answer. Because we don't have the knowledge anymore. That was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. We don't know how to do it. And so they're soliciting us to set up cut and sew so that these brands, big brands, can make jeans in America. And I can tell you one of those brands is Levi's, because Levi's called us to ask if we would make jeans for them. And of course, we said no.
We make
because we're savages. Because we rip people's faces off. But Lenny was the last one, and the knowledge is really where there's a vessel of knowledge is Origin. It's one of our biggest assets, is just the sheer knowledge. So it's a beautiful thing to be part of.
Yeah, and that's one of those stories right there. I remember you're sending me a text like, "Just got an email from Levi's." I'm like, okay, this should be an interesting call.
Yeah.
But it's another one of those things where the tactical short-term move that can be very beneficial in the immediate. But if you look at it over the long term, you realize that it's not aligned with what it is we're trying to do. And we ran in the same thing. We had some very nice offers presented to us in the past year,
Yes.
really, maybe year and a half, that I actually think 99.9% of the people in the world would have taken these offers on board and executed, huge amounts of money and a lot of security. But what you sell for that security and what you sell for that money is the dream and the vision.
Mm-hmm.
And, you and I, we had some good conversations about it, but I think a lot of times we had conversations that we were talking, we were discussing, our mouths were moving, but our hearts were we already knew what the answer was. And it was almost like, hey man, what do you think? I'm like, well, I mean, we could. Well, it'd be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice. It's a risk. Yeah, it's a risk. We'd have all those conversations, and in the end, it would just, each time it's a sacrifice of the vision. It's going away from the ultimate goal. It's giving up control when there is, and you give up control with people that might not be going where we're going. And if they're in a different place and all of a sudden someone else is in control, or you got to deal with someone. I've had this conversation plenty of times. I even with certain investors, I've said, listen, Pete and I make decisions in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 texts. We figure out what we're going to do. That's one of the major reasons why I'm hesitant to do anything, because I'm going to have to deal with you people.
Mm-hmm.
And you seem like nice people. I get it. But you have a direction that you want to go in. And I'm not sure what that direction is. I'm not sure where you want to go. I know for a fact where Pete and I want to go. And so you start throwing variables in there. And then on top of that, you start trying to put a price on those variables. And it becomes, well, we haven't done it.
Big prices too.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's almost like inevitable when you think about where we need to go and how to get there. Yeah,
at some point we will we will likely have to take some outside capital on board. It seems like every day, every week that we don't, we are in an even better position where maybe we can muddle through it a little bit further. And then you look at me like, we're still doing all right. Okay, we're good. Can you breath hold another 3 months here? Yeah, I can hold my breath. Yeah, can you? Yeah, I can. Yeah, you gonna be good with it? Yeah, I'm okay, man. You can. Okay, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
And we've done that for the last year and a half. It's been a lot of that. Almost every week, we overcome an obstacle. We make a move that turns out good. We've taken some hits too, but that just gives us so much more security to move forward with just us.
I feel like the wormhole is closing. Like we've been in this wormhole, and you can see the light in it, and it's like this, and we're going, and we're moving towards it. We're moving towards it, and we're picking up speed, and we've got to get through the wormhole before it shuts. Mm-hmm. And it's a difficult place to be. To read, because doing what we do is unique, and it makes us feel alive, and we're completely aligned and working on the same frequency and having fun. But we're building something that's going to transcend us at the same time. You know what I mean? It's like, holy shit. Getting to the next level it's a big deal, bro.
What were we on the Inc. 500 in 2020?
Like 2020?
Last year.
For last year, the year before last,
yeah.
We were 364 on the Inc. 500.
And then this year?
And for 2020, we finished 215.
Oh, and we're going to crush that.
Would you think about for a company that did what we did? It just shows the strength of our people and our culture and our vision to finish as the 215th fastest growing business in America. That's crazy. From the freaking woods of nowhere, Maine. I mean,
and literally doing what we're saying we're going to do.
yes.
And an example that I'm thinking of right now is we keep saying, we're bringing manufacturing back to America. Oh, okay. What does that really mean? I'll tell you what it means. A trip to the Dominican Republic to buy equipment and literally ship it back to America.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Well, Andy found this equipment, our COO over there at the footwear division, and he's like, this is what we need to make safety toe boots. And he's gone all in. You walk into his office, it's all books on making footwear. He knows how to make shoes. He knows how to make patterns. I mean, this is a guy who came from setting up plants for Toyota, now working on footwear, and he was super nervous. He's like, here's the list of stuff we need to bid on. Here's what I think we're going to need. It's coming out of a Timberland boot factory in the Dominican that's shutting down. And I was like, cool, man, let's get whatever we need. And he was just super nervous about it. So we sat in the conference room and we bid real time.
Yeah.
You
were posting that stuff on freaking Instagram.
You texted me like, hey, bro. Did you say, hey, bro, do you think you should be posting on Instagram? Someone's going to bid against you.
I know. I was worried. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're showing everybody that there's stuff for sale. Hold off. Give me a 20-minute interval. Wait till the freaking bidding closes. Come on, bro. Let's be strategic.
We did. We got it. We secured the stuff we really needed. 2 container-fulls of machine. And we sent Joe, my father-in-law, down there with Andy and Nicole, and thank God Nicole's fiance is from the Dominican, so he's like packing heat here. He knows everybody who he has to pay off, because this is no small feat to get there and to get in like safely where we needed to go to this factory.
This is during COVID.
Was it? I mean, yes, it was. I mean, yeah, of course it was.
It was.
So they get over there, and you got Joe from the woods of Maine. I mean, the biggest redneck on the planet. You know what I mean? Strutting there.
I know what you mean. Show off.
Strutting through the streets, in his jean shorts that the girls made him at the factory. Oh man, and they did it. They paid off everybody they needed to pay off. Like, it was a mission. I mean, a straight up mission. So we pulled that back, and all the machinery, we had a technician come and go through everything and get it all running. And it is beautiful.
The machinery looked beautiful.
It's incredible. I mean, some of the shit's like a year old.
And most of that was geared towards making safety toe boots. Because we've had a huge demand signal for safety boots.
And it's coming this fall, safety toe boots.
Echelon Front, our work with construction companies is so massive.
Yep.
Because the correlations between like running a SEAL platoon and running a military unit and running a construction site, they're really, really similar.
Yeah.
And it's a real level of where the explanations just make so much sense to them.
Mm-hmm.
Massive, and they all are in the game. They're all in the game. They're like, when the work pants come out, that's going to get buck wild.
Yeah, I know.
When the work pants come out, and the reason I say this is because I have a pair, and I know that, and I worked construction as a kid. Those things are going to get, they're the perfect pants for work.
Yeah.
They really are.
They're like the pants you want in a post-apocalyptic environment. That shit's going to last forever. Yeah. Totally overbuilt.
Like, over-engineered.
100%.
Over-engineered like you read about.
Yeah.
But the point is of the reason I'm bringing that up is this talk about bringing manufacturing back. There's no better example of that than going to a foreign country, getting the equipment and bringing it literally back to here so we can build.
Yep.
That's freaking legit. When did you get COVID? I got COVID before you, right?
Yeah, I got it in December.
And Echo got it. You and I got it together. We had the joint COVID.
Yeah, Thanksgiving time.
You and I were
kind of skated through it a little bit.
We definitely skated
you guys
through
were
it.
fine with it.
Yeah. Well, you lost your smell.
Yeah.
I didn't lose anything. I had a couple workouts that were kind of weak.
Damn.
What's your blood type?
Brutal.
A negative.
I don't know mine. I forget.
Mine's A positive.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, they said it. They said like A positive.
You were
or
down
AB
hard?
positive.
You were down hard.
Oh yeah. I mean, I made it look good on Instagram. Like, hey, this is no factor. And I'd put my phone down and just boom, right back in bed.
It was weird too because Maine and especially Farmington, you guys didn't get.
No, we didn't
You
get.
didn't get hit.
No, we locked it down pretty good. We didn't get hit like the rest of the country.
Yeah.
So, it you know, it was
So-
an experience.
So how many people total at Origin got COVID?
8.
That's unbelievable. How did you not spread it?
So, lots of conversations with the whole team. Hey, listen, when you leave your house in the morning, make sure you're making, you know, if you can, make one stop. And on that stop, make sure you're getting the things you need for the day and then go straight home after. I mean, we asked everybody to have basically say low impact, have super low impact. We just, you know, we made sure everybody was aligned to follow kind of those guidelines.
So you got COVID though, all right?
Yeah, I did.
So you got COVID. What
'Cause I
I'm
was
saying
still
is,
traveling.
how did you not go into the factory for 2-3 days, shake hands? Hey, let me get on that machine. Hey, what do you think of this? You're looking over their shoulder.
It was Christmas, New Year's stint.
Got it.
And
so
I
you
just
got lucky.
Got lucky.
Did you? How long did it take you before you knew you had it?
I knew immediately.
Oh, Miss Rona.
Yeah, I knew immediately. I
You could just feel. You felt sick.
it. Oh yeah, I felt it. I was like, yeah.
Did you? What did you? What did you echo?
What's that?
Did you? Did you? I think I told you I had.
Yeah.
So that was the worst. The worst thing for me was I had to call everybody. I had to call everybody I knew that I had been in contact with and say, hey, like this is the hey. I guess I was texting people because it seemed more efficient.
Yeah.
And the worst was Tulsi because Tulsi came to visit us. Like and we would have recorded a podcast, but she like last minute thing and she only had a little bit of time. So she's like, hey, I just want to come by and say hi. We're like, cool, come on by. And so you came in, I think we trained and then we trained and then she came in and she hung out. But I will say she wore 2 masks the whole time. And at this point, Echo and I, we were in our own whatever COVID bubble.
So you gave Echo COVID.
We don't know.
Or we might have caught it from the same
because
spot.
we went on a trip. We went up to Northern California. We met with Cowboy and we met with Tilt, and so we did and that was the hardest thing about this. And look, we don't know where we got it. Whether Cowboy gave it to us, but Cowboy was a Vietnamese SOG guy, SOG operator, just a total badass guy. You watch that podcast. He's like pulling up his shirt, showing, I got stabbed here, got shot here, got blown up over here. And then all of a sudden he gets COVID and he was in the hospital stuff. It was bad.
Yeah.
And by the way, the troopers that I posted about it, because it hit his whole family and like people just donated a ton of money and really helped him out, man. So thanks everybody for doing that. But wherever we got it, because we had flown up there, we stayed in a hotel, we get done with that. And he had some family event or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, we all end up getting COVID. And then Tulsi came, and what made it hard about what I felt bad about Tulsi, because Tulsi went from being with us to flying out to damn DC, and they were paranoid level 12 out there, and so she's like, yeah, if I've been exposed, she goes, I have to quarantine for 12 days. I was like, what? She's like, just for being exposed to us.
Oh man,
I felt horrible. So sorry, Tulsi.
So she surfed for 12 days.
No, she was in DC, so she couldn't go home, and Hawaii was real strict too. So it was, but you know what? She ended up getting like 2 back-to-back tests, and she was negative, and so ended up being all right, which was cool. What about like your own? What about? So we kind of talked about the business. COVID was kind of like a little bit rough on Pete Roberts as a human.
Well, I did. I went down for a couple of weeks. I gave it to my whole family, my father-in-law, they were pissed.
Dude,
at
no
me.
one in my family got it.
Really?
And we didn't. I didn't stay. Did you quarantine yourself or anything?
When I had it, I had to. Yeah, I stayed in my property.
Did you stay away from your family though?
Well, I didn't know I had it, and then I must have gotten a pretty massive viral dose, and so then I gave it to my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, my son, my daughter, my son's best friend, my wife, his freaking parents, Xander. I call him the
host,
Xandalorian. They sent him up to the woods of Maine to a cabin for 2 weeks. His parents sent him up by himself. There's like one store up there that he would walk to and get his goods or whatever. Maybe he had them delivered. I don't know.
Bro, no one in my family got it.
That's crazy.
And we didn't. I mean, my family, because we were like, okay, well, I got it, so we all go. We're just stuck together. We're all gonna get it, and no one got it.
Weird. That's weird.
I mean, I was, even before I knew I had it, which I obviously had it. I was like, my wife and I are, like
I blame it on chips.
chips.
What?
Chips.
You eat? What do you mean?
I eat chips.
Potato
And I
chips.
offer chips to everybody else.
Potato
chips. Cape Cod kettle style potato chips.
Cape Cods,
I
those are
blame,
good.
I
man.
blame giving COVID to everybody on Cape Cod chips. But my mother-in-law was super pissed. She was super pissed at me. And I'm like, you're welcome. After she, it was fine. I was like, you're welcome. You're welcome. She didn't like that either.
What about your training during Miss Rona?
Yeah, I mean, I was shut down for 2 weeks. I was done. And then when I got back into working out or trying to work out, it was like literally 5 minutes. I was like,
do you still feel like Miss Rona in your lungs?
Honestly, there's some cognitive things going on for me. There's like
beyond just your normal limited capacity.
I mean, it's pretty limited as it is. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a little bit of shit going on, but all good. I feel super healthy now. Even though I put on 40 freaking pounds.
You put on 40 pounds.
40, man.
Wait.
40.
Wait. When? Freaking potato chips, bro. That's a lot of potato chips, dude.
It's a post-apocalyptic kind of environment.
Fat dudes are gonna. You're just going daily. Like, this could be it, man. This could be it. Where's that Hostess cherry pie, son?
I'm thinking survival. You got that extra layer on you. You got to fast for a week or two.
Yeah,
the food supply's dwindling. Guess what?
You're
this
ready.
Guy's living. Unless you decide to take me out and carve me out.
You put on 40 pounds before or after?
During COVID. I put on 40 pounds during COVID.
Wait, when you had COVID?
Yeah, just the whole
no, you
time.
didn't.
No.
Did you lose weight when you had COVID?
Yeah, I dropped like 10 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was because you couldn't eat. That was because
you
were sweating, you were sick.
Yeah, sweating, sick, and then couldn't taste anything. So the only thing that actually felt good in my mouth is that old school Campbell's chicken noodle soup.
So you're losing weight. And all right, so that's happening with COVID. And then we had a bunch of other crazy, like, awesome stuff going on. Because that's another thing, timing wise. We went into Vitamin Shop.
Yeah.
The entire Jocko Fuel line goes into Vitamin Shop.
It explodes because that's where people are shopping.
And goes berserk out of the gate. And then COVID hits.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, that's like goes on a little bit of hesitation there because it shut down, wasn't whatever. What's the word again? Critical mass, essential
worker.
Right?
Yeah.
Was Vitamin Shop essential?
They were. We actually the Vitamin Shop we exploded in because people, they were buying, like, when you went into the stores, like, my wife was telling me, she's like, I'm going shopping. This is like as shit's coming across and you're wearing the face coverings and everybody's got masks on. So she's going to the store and she's like,
bubonic plague.
I just needed some essentials. I needed some bread and, some tuna fish, whatever.
She's coming out of there ready to survive for 4 years.
She's like, Pete, she's like, I'm going down the aisle and I look and there's brown bread and there's only one left. I've never bought brown bread in my life. She's like, I had to put it in the shopping cart because there's only one left.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of chaos that went on. And then folks started going to GNCs and vitamin shops and anywhere else you could get protein.
Yeah, there was that
and supplements. So
I
it
remember like
spiked.
a little bit of hesitation, and then it was like,
yeah, oh yeah.
So that ended up being awesome.
Yeah, it was good for business.
And then same thing with going into Wawa, which is if you don't know what Wawa is, it's a massive convenience chain on the East Coast, and we rolled into Wawa. We rolled into Wawa on a 3-month test. So if you don't know anything about this kind of thing, so it's convenience stores. They're like the real estate, right? They're like the real estate where you get to sell stuff.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, they own it, and they only want to sell stuff that's going to sell. So they don't you can't just walk into a convenience store and be like, oh, I want to sell my my drink here. They go, we don't care. We don't want your drink. Get out of here. Because they want stuff that's going to sell. They want there to be a demand for it. And so we had some relationships. Luckily, like everything's relationship based. Joe Moss had some relationships, and so they gave us a 3-month test to see how we do
in Florida.
And I think it was
3 weeks.
3 weeks into it, they called and said, chain wide, because all y'all that are listening to this right now went out and got crazy.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, it got to a point where they asked me to stop saying, go clear the, because I was like, hey, if you go to Wawa, clear the shelves. And people were like, okay, cool. People are posting videos of them just clearing shelves into coolers from Wawa. Freaking awesome.
Oh, so awesome.
So that was super helpful and awesome that y'all went out and did that. And so in 3 weeks, they called us and said, can we get enough supply to go chain wide in now? And we were like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's an iconic
people get married
store.
At Wawa.
It's an iconic convenience store.
Straight up.
And it's a benchmark. It's a benchmark for all convenience stores.
Yeah, and we had to, go crush a few Wawa hoagies.
Oh yeah, we got some hoagies on. But that's opened up the doors. Now there's we should be spreading to many other convenience stores. I don't want to name them right now, but they're all over the country. Probably the hardest one to get into as far as geographically, when this is a bummer, is California. California has some convenience stores that we're not in California the way we want to be. We'll find the right partner, but it's a little bit tricky of an atmosphere out there, which is weird too, because California basically is convenience stores. There's convenience stores everywhere. There's people that's where they shop is convenience stores. That's where it's happening. And so we're working that issue to get to a point where it starts to go forward. What else? That's a pretty good year, man.
Yeah, when you think in talking through this, holy shit. All this has happened at the same time.
Oh, by the way, we bought a business, a factory
in North Carolina.
In North Carolina, by the way.
Yep.
We just closed on that.
Yep. So all the papers are signed.
So that's a massive amount of capability that we're going to have to sew even better. And North Carolina, it's similar in many ways to what we have up in Maine, what we have up in New England, where this used to be the dominant industry up here, and it just faded away. And North Carolina is similar in many ways, and they also have parts of the industry down there that are central in that area that aren't central up here.
Yes,
and so that'll be a huge boost to what we're able to do as well.
Yeah, when it comes to our heavy hoodies, we have the new heavy hoodies, joggers, t-shirts, grappling shorts, vice shorts, board shorts, knit products, all the new stuff we're doing as we focus on building Origin and bringing it to the masses, blitz scaling. It's just going to be phenomenal to have this other facility. So it's another big step, risk reward, and I think we both buy into that 100%. I don't think that's like boots. I think it's that big of a risk, but it's still crazy to say we're going to drive the same culture we drive in Maine and North Carolina, and think through having the right people in place and processes and making sure that you get enough face time there and get them bought into what we're doing from an extreme ownership perspective, and it's going to take time to make all that happen. Yeah.
One thing that is beautiful about the culture and them, this isn't us having to impose a new culture. This isn't us having to say, hey, here's what you think is important and here's what we think is important. You need to think like we think, because what we're doing, it just resonates. Look, guess what they do for a living? They sew stuff. They make stuff. They want to make stuff in America, just like we're not trying to sell them something else. They're already on board. And so it's more like a unification.
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity for them to have, to do more and better and bigger. And the people that are there right now to have more opportunities and more job stability and earn more and make more and do more. Like that's what, you don't have to convince somebody. You don't have to convince somebody of that.
You know what the best part is? The place wasn't for sale.
Yeah.
Wasn't for sale.
Yep.
But being able to connect with the current ownership who's been running it since 1974, and they're, later in life, flying them up to Maine, showing them what we're doing, telling them we want to bring this to North Carolina. We want to re-inject the soul back into this community and back into this company and back into the people. And in them and him knowing that he doesn't have the energy for it anymore. He just doesn't have the capacity. He has the passion for it, but he can't physically do it. And seeing that there's another generation who's going to carry on what he's built, brought tears to his eyes. Mm-hmm. So it was an opportunity that we just can't pass up on. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be good, man. Looking forward to it.
Anything else?
Nah.
Echo Charles, you got any questions?
What's your cognitive scenario, particularly? Like what
from
you having
COVID?
trouble
What are you
with?
losing?
Yeah, like memory or just
gathering words up.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. I've always been very sharp. I can piece words together, and I can flow them off the tongue. But sometimes I get caught up, and I never get caught up. And someone says, "Oh, isn't that just age? You're 42 now." I don't know about that. Yeah. When I drink this stuff, when I'm drinking the Go,
you're on fire.
Oh yeah, it flows. It flows. Yeah. But no, other than that, I don't have any lag in anything.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, probably a good place to stop. And just the thing that you just said that right there that kind of hit, that I think is the unifying thing, is what we're doing is about the people. It's about the people. It's infinitely bigger than just us, obviously. It's a movement that resonates with people the way people think. It already is there. You know what I'm saying? That's what's trying to say, about the culture. It's already there. And it's not just in North Carolina. The people that this resonates with people. It just resonates. They understand what it is we're trying to do. They understand that what we all are doing, including you that's listening, it's like what we all are doing is the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do, is to rebuild America, is to take care of our communities, is to take care of our families, take care of our friends, take care of our country. And the way that you do that is you take care of people. And you put people above profit. There's so many decisions that got made. And at some point, when we document this whole thing and we go back and we pick apart decisions that got made by corporations in this country where they decided to save 4% on the production of a pair of jeans or 6% on the production of a pair of boots, and they took and they ripped those capabilities out of this country for 4%, for 6%, and destroyed communities to make that money. When we tell that story, I think people already know that, and I think that's why this resonates with people. They understand that what we're doing is the right thing to do. Putting people above profit. And by the way, that is a strategic win. The short-term win is, we can save 4% if we ship everything overseas and we get it shipped overseas or we get it made overseas. That's a tactical win. Yeah, hey, we made more money this quarter. We made more money this year. But what they did in the meantime is destroy communities and take away the freaking thing that makes America America. And that is the pride in what we do in this country. So I think everybody knows that we're doing the right thing. I think that's why so many people are supporting what we're doing. That's why so many people are with us. I feel like it's not just us. It's everyone. When I meet people, you mentioned the other day, someone was telling you that at the muster, everyone's wearing Origin jeans. Hell yeah, they are. Yeah, that's what's happening. And when we make stuff and they know where it comes from and they know that it's connected to other people, that's why I think this is just a train that's just leaving the station and it's picking up speed and it's going to roll.
Hell yeah.
That's where I think we're at, Echo Charles. All right, so Echo, how do we get on board this train?
Oh, well, you got to do the right thing. You know, speaking of doing the right thing. So we'll talk about, okay, you mentioned Discipline Go, right? Helping you with your,
yeah,
you know, your brain.
That's Jocko Go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brain fuel. That's the morning brew right there.
So that's essentially doing the right thing in a smaller, kind of more specific way where, you know, we need our energy drinks. Some people drink coffee and I dig it. But some people, they drink energy drinks, but you know you're not doing the right thing a lot of the time when you're drinking like a normal energy drink.
You mean a sugary snack that
Filled
makes you feel like shit?
Yeah, later. Yeah,
I never drank energy drinks.
Oh, I did.
I've had a sip of a familiar, popular drink once. Never drank energy drinks. When I heard about kids dying from those, drinks, I was like, hell no. Yeah. Never let my kids either. Now I let them.
Of course.
Because it's good for you.
That's the test.
That's the
do
doing
you let
the right
your kids drink it? I do.
Yep. Yep, I do too.
Yeah, so...
In fact, my kids kind of get nuts with it. Yeah. And not only that, I'll say, I don't know, speaking of profit before people, and I don't know how much profit we're losing because of my kids and their friends at my house.
Trust me.
It's freaking nuts.
Yeah.
These kids are rocking.
Yeah. They I didn't realize it was going to be so popular with kids, you know, teenagers, athletes, all that stuff. It's been awesome.
Yeah, it's essentially the new paradigm? Is that the right word?
Paradigm shift.
I shouldn't ask you anymore.
What, because you don't want to catch his vocabulary?
No, his brain is
in a lull.
You know, wait, he's having, but it's
in
like
this group, my brain's working just fine.
What's the new era?
I'm like Einstein in this group.
Amen. But yeah, so it's a new era of energy drinks. We don't have to worry about that kind of stuff anymore. We don't have to worry about our kids dying anymore. Actually, you drink 2 of those, you're more healthy, technically.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Stuff. Electrolytes, everything. Boom.
Just in there.
So yeah, that's one of the things you can do, man. Get on the
gotta get on that subscription too.
The cool thing is you're doing something good for yourself, and you're helping out the world.
Talk about doing the right thing.
Tactical and strategic.
It's true. 100%
across the board.
Also, speaking of doing the right thing, do the right thing for your joint. So, joint, how should I say, maintenance. It's not as sexy. It's like an energy drink or even milk or something like this.
You want to know what's not sexy? Limping around because you got hurt. You know what I mean? That's not.
It's true. But it's one of those things. But we got to pay attention, do the right thing. Yeah. So you get the Joint Warfare, the Super Krill Oil, keep your joints in the game.
And see, this you just said subscription. You know, you kind of like we're starting to go down that path. But this is the one, in my opinion, this is where you subscribe because you don't want to get caught short without what you need.
Yeah, and it's not like you're waking up in the morning craving some krill oil or something like this. Like you might be like, hey, I'm kind of craving the Discipline Go. You can find yourself in that kind of situation. But the Joint Warfare, you don't crave that. But you need that one.
Unless you don't take it. Then you crave it.
I use it religiously.
I was with Leif and I were down at the muster. And so we do these, we do workouts at the muster, you know, and they're burpees and, you know, they're just a little bit different, right? Yeah. And we do them. So we show up for the muster before the muster actually starts, and we do the PTs to kind of test them out, make sure they're good to go. How we're gonna do them, where we're gonna do them, so we did a bunch of burpees and jump squats or whatever one day and something like that. And Leif and I, we have like a room that's connected, you know, because we're working and. Like whatever, day 2 of us being down there, he's like, bro.
He texts me about that too.
He goes, hey, you got Joint Warfare and krill oil? I was like, bro, this is not amateur hour, bro. What's up? And he goes, I didn't bring. He goes, I because he has a go bag, right? Yeah. And he travels with it, but you got to reload your go bag. Failure to reload. And I was like, hey man, I got bad news for you. I got some. For myself, I didn't bring enough for other people.
Oh no,
because that's how I do my loadout. My loadout.
Did we overnight him some?
I don't know what he did.
He might have gotten a vitamin shop.
Yeah, I don't know what he
texted me,
did.
I couldn't help him.
Yeah,
that day.
it was rough. But that's the kind of situation you don't want to be in,
No,
right?
you don't.
So let's not let that happen because he's in
It's
there
true.
again, limping around, holding his back and
Yep.
what.
That sucks.
Yeah,
Oh,
it makes you a believer though.
Oh,
If you
1000%.
don't take it, you all of a sudden,
Oh, yeah.
you know, that
You
was
fall
a
apart.
classic. Leif was like, bro.
That's our top, out of our whole company. You combine everything together, apparel, footwear, geese, supplements, everything. Joint warfare is our number one selling item
Really?
every day.
Yep.
We, America's addicted to joint warfare.
It's freaking good.
It's
It's
so
good to
for
go.
you. So good for you.
All right,
Oh,
so
yeah.
what else? What else, Echo Charles?
Speaking of good for you, immunity.
This
vitamin
okay.
D3.
Can we talk luck here for a second?
Sure.
Okay. Rewind pre-COVID. Be little. Like, hey, Jocko, what do you think about vitamin D? I take it every day. Oh, do you want to make some? I was like, yeah, let's do it. This is pre-COVID. Let's do it. Okay. Hey, while we're doing that, let's make immunity because I travel and I get on planes and I shake hands with a bunch of people and, they're passing you the freaking all kinds of germs and whatnot. Let's make an immunity thing. Cool. Okay, so we make two things, Cold War and vitamin D. Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
Good timing.
God,
Good
that was
timing.
epic. That was epic, man.
Mhm.
Again, this is just luck, grace of God, God's a frogman, whatever you want to say. That is just perfect.
Yeah.
And so we bought a decent amount of it. We stocked up on a decent amount of it, and then as soon as COVID hit, people are literally telling people to take exactly
What
like
we-
vitamin D and the half the ingredients that are in Cold War.
Yep.
So that was awesome. And again, luck, timing,
Little
grace
bit
of God,
everything.
a
I
little
think-
bit everything. We'll take it.
I think when you're moving in the right direction without compromise and you're in tune, when you're in tune, then, shit just happens. I feel like we're in tune with not just our customers, but we're in tune with what America needs.
You know what's weird? I was talking to Main Tai today, and I was saying sometimes I make myself nervous, right? Because I'm very particular in what I like. And there certainly is no guarantee that anyone else in the world is going to like what I like.
Mm-hmm.
And this podcast is a great example. There's been many times where I've been creating or reading or preparing a podcast, and I'm thinking to myself, this is pretty much going to be for an audience of one. Echo Charles is going to be the only person that is going to have to suffer through what I'm doing right now. That's what's going to happen. And I'm wrong, because there are other people that think the exact same way. And that's what I said about the Discipline Go Drink. He says, isn't it weird? He said, I heard you talking about why didn't anybody else make this? And I think for me, it's crazy to me that no one would make an energy drink that's good for you, that's not sweetened with sugar, that doesn't have any, that's pasteurized. It's crazy to me to think that no one would. And sometimes when I think of these things, I think I might be thinking for an audience of one. Like, oh, if I could have that, I would do it.
Right.
And so, but then you test, you put it together and you put it out there and you realize this is the best thing about all this stuff. Everything that we're doing. The best thing about it is you realize we're not alone. I'm not alone. You're not alone. We're not alone. There's a bunch of people on the path that want to be better, that want to help America, that want to take vitamin D3, that want coal. Like, there's a bunch of people that want a stronger immune system. This shouldn't seem like a shock,
Yeah.
right? There's a bunch of people that want jeans that are made in America. Iconic American jeans that aren't even made in America? What is that? Stop. And so it's very nice sometimes for me to realize at certain moments that we're in this together.
Yeah.
It's true, bro. Speaking of being in this together, Milk. We're on the Milk train together. So that's the
Milk
good one,
train.
right? Extra protein, additional protein in the form of dessert. You did a good job with that one, guys. Real good
The
job
milk.
with the taste.
The milk. Yeah, got to get some of that milk.
Providing all those milkshakes at camp this week. They
Oh, yeah.
loved it.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Vitamin Shop, Wawa, JockoFuel.com. If you subscribe to it, shipping's free. Look, are we competing against some heavies? Are we 135 pounds in the open bracket going in against the
Absolutely.
heavies? Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we
they got some advantages. They got some advantages. And so we got to figure out how we're going to counter some of those advantages. One of the things that some of these big players, including the biggest players in the game, can do is they can ship stuff for free because they're absorbing costs, they're making money on the other areas, and so they figure out how to ship stuff for free. And so you and I had this conversation. You're like, bro, we got to figure this out. And I'm like, hey man, this is America. Like, people don't want to pay for shipping. And you're like brainstorming. I heard freaking spark plugs going off in your noggin. A week later, you're like, bro, if we can get if people
like
subscribe.
a Sterling engine.
I was thinking more like a 2-horse. I was thinking more lawnmower engine. But hey, you know what? It produced. Because like 2 weeks later, you're like, listen, I ran the numbers. If people subscribe, we can ship for free. We can ship for free. And that's how we can do it. And like, awesome. So if you are out there and you want us to ship for free, which we want to do, subscribe to one of these things and all the shipping's for free. That gives us the advantage, an actual advantage in the open match against the heavyweight monsters that are out there that want to smash us, by the way. They want nothing more than to smash.
Oh yeah, when you start eating people's market share, they're not happy about that.
They don't like it. So there you go. What else? What else we got?
Well, this may seem surprising, but a company called Origin USA. Good company. I hear good things.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So, like you said, hey, if you're going to get iconic American stuff, but you get it with either materials from overseas or they're made overseas, it kind of defeats the purpose a little bit.
We can't even call that iconic anymore. We definitely can't call it American.
Yeah.
It's very hard. It's very hard, yeah. But when you're making stuff that's made with literally the seeds of the cotton that's grown, all done in America.
That's right.
All the way to the...
I love the way you say cotton.
Bro, that's how it's said.
There's
two T's. There's
cotton.
2 T's in cotton.
Cotton.
By the way, it's not cotton.
I guess
it's not 0 T's.
Cotton.
You see what I'm saying?
I guess you're right. Cotton.
Yeah. I feel like you guys are right about me being right in this case.
I talked a lot about things that are right and wrong. That thing is not right. The way you say cotton.
The cotton is grown here in America. And the jeans, come out on the other side. Iconic American. Delta 68 jeans finally got some. Thanks, Pete. Nonetheless, got some. So yes, Origin USA, you like that kind of stuff? This is where you can get that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not to mention jiu-jitsu stuff. That's why you guys started at, right? Jiu-jitsu stuff.
Best skis in America. The people at this
best
immersion
skis in the
camp,
world. Sorry,
factually.
best skis in the world. 1000%.
Yeah.
But people, everyone, even you today,
Yes, sir.
you come and say, bro, this is something about this ski.
Yeah, it was.
What is this? What is this stuff?
It's special.
It's
a beautiful thing.
special.
It's a beautiful thing.
We found the last living unicorn herd and we skinned them and we made geese.
Bro, I was looking for an
People are gonna be like, they killed the unicorns.
I have this couch at my house, and I forget what the material is, but it's like this gray kind of no, it's not velvet. I don't know what it is. It might just be leather, but it's like gray.
Suede.
It's gray, and it's kind of a big couch, right? And so
it's a brontosaurus.
So my son was over with his girlfriend. And they were in my son's girlfriend's like really nice, super sweet girl, very nice. And you know, we're sitting on the couch, we're watching UFC or something like this, and you know, all of a sudden she's like saying the couch is comfortable, or my son's like, "Oh, this couch is so awesome," because it's a relatively new couch. So she goes, "Yeah, this couch is so nice." She goes, "What's it made of?" And I go, "Oh, it's baby whale skin." And she got the most horrified look on her face, bro. I had to like immediately say, "No, I'm kidding," because she was about to cry. But yeah, baby whale skin. She was like, yeah. So there you go. And it kind of like looks like it could be
a baby whale.
Baby whale skin. It could be. So she bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. Right on. Check.
But yeah, the geese unicorn skin. Like so the skin, it kind of seems like that could be the case. That's how like luxurious it is.
It's luxurious.
You kind of can't go back. I was looking for an electric blanket. You know, remember last year here it got kind of cold, so just bear with me on this one.
Hawaiian.
So I'm looking for my big electric blanket, and I end up pulling out this bin, like it could be in there, and it's like my old geese. And bro, I touched the old. I'm not gonna say the brand.
Yeah,
we don't gotta do that. But I touched that gi and I was like, bro, I could never put that thing on anymore.
It's like sleeping with sandpaper.
Yeah. It's like comparatively speaking. Yeah. Once you go, you kind of can't go back, you know?
OriginUSA.com if you
True.
want to get some of this stuff.
It's true. Good
Made in
stuff
America.
on that one. Also, Jocko Store. Jocko is a store
Mm.
called Jocko Store. That's where you can get t-shirts, hoodies, hats that say discipline equals freedom. Jocko Podcast. You see Pete wearing Jocko Podcast shirts from time to time.
You like
look
those
good in
shirts?
I
them,
wear
by
a
the
lot.
way.
I wear those shirts a lot. Yeah. I wear that
Good
green Get
shirts.
After It one a lot.
Mhm.
Well, yeah. Yeah, some good stuff on there. We also got a subscription situation, too. Free shipping as well.
Look
you
at
get a
that.
cool new shirt like this one. A little
Check.
bit different designs, a little bit more creative. Got the next one is an homage to the Seawolves.
Oh, damn.
If you like the Seawolves, some of us do.
Tremble the Seawolves.
Yeah.
It's
So,
freaking
yeah.
outstanding.
It's all
See,
on
that-
Jocko Store.
That's what I like. Let's move in that direction of the shirts on the shirt locker
Mhm.
representing that aspect
Yeah, I like
of
that idea
the
for sure.
podcast. Sure.
Yep. So yeah, jockostore.com. If you like something, hey, get something.
Subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a review.
If you want.
Leave a
I
review.
haven't
Yeah,
even
man.
said that in a while.
Leave a review.
But
You
no,
want-
leave a review. It's cool because A, we get to read them. You can give
Yeah.
us some input. B, if you read, I haven't done this in a long time. But if you write a really funny one,
Yeah.
I'll read it on
Yeah.
here. Whatever.
Yeah.
Also, don't forget Jocko Unraveling podcast with myself and DC Daryl Cooper, Grounded podcast, Warrior Kid podcast for the Warrior Kids out there. We also have the Jocko Underground. Look, we don't control this platform. We don't. Whatever platform
Yeah.
you're listening on, we don't control it unless you're listening on the Underground, JockoUnderground.com. That we control.
Mhm.
So we set up just to make sure that things don't go awry. We set up our own little platform, JockoUnderground.com. You are helping us fund that by subscribing to it. It costs $8.18 a month. That's how you help us build that platform and maintain that platform, and we will be there in the event of an emergency, in case of a real bubonic black plague, or in case of censorship, or in case of free
Shadow
street getting,
banning.
shadow banning, all the
Yeah.
stuff that's out there. If you can't afford it, it's cool. We want you in the game. We're not trying to exclude anybody. If you can't afford it, no factor. Email assistance at JockoUnderground.com, and we'll get that taken care of. We have a YouTube channel. It's called the Jocko Podcast Channel.
Verified, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's verified.
Is that
That's,
a thing
that's
now
how
on
you
YouTube?
know. Yeah.
Ah.
The same deal. Check mark.
Yeah. Oh, you like that? Feel pretty
Check
good
mark.
about that one?
I feel good that
Are you
know.
verified?
I feel good. Oh, what? What do you mean?
Like on Instagram?
No.
You're not?
No, I'm not. I
You
don't
got
know.
to work on that.
Are you?
There's
Well,
only
how do you
one
work
Echo
on that?
Charles. I'm not verified. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I only have
No, that's for like famous people or
11,000
whatever.
followers on Instagram.
No, but it's not about the
Echo's
number of
popular.
followers. It's not about the number of followers. It's just like if you're like a what do you call, like a public figure, like Jocko.
Oh, like you are.
You're a
no,
public
no,
figure.
like you, bro. Like a celebrity. You know what I'm
Oh.
saying? No. I'm not, bro. I'm not.
We're feeling
That's
just
so
using-
funny.
feeling funny
A
over there.
little blue check mark.
Nonetheless, yeah, it is kind of like a phenomenon, though.
All right, let's get
like
this back on
you
track.
get the blue check mark, like Jocko has
Yeah, yeah.
on Twitter too, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like
They take you more
it's
seriously.
like a badge of
Yeah,
like a,
yeah.
like,
Badge of
part
honor.
of the glitterati,
Bing.
whatever.
Do I sense jealousy from
No,
people over here?
no. Remember when you
No,
when you-
Jocko Fuel we got verified.
That's
I
legit.
gotta work on Origin. We haven't tried yet.
Maybe
But
call it Jocko Origin. It'll get verified.
I'm gonna change my Instagram to Jocko's friend Pete. Jocko's friend Pete. Verified
that would
that.
work, bro.
Hey, you know what
That
else
would
is cool is if you want to follow like a lot of this stuff that we're talking about, also Origin USA, the YouTube channel. That's another awesome thing to check out.
Yeah.
You do Main Thai and the team puts together like
Origin
a once.
HD.
Yeah, it's once a week.
Yeah.
generally.
It's bi-weekly now.
Okay. See, that's just
It's
weak.
like a total inside look at what we're
What's
doing.
going on.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And Main Thai showed up at Origin saying, "Can I work here?" And you said, "What skills do you have?" And he was like, And you said, "Can you sweep floors?" He said, "Yep." And now he's running media.
Yep.
Media manager.
Media
So
manager.
check out what Main Thai, self-taught,
does some good work.
doing good
Respect
work,
that.
even approved by Echo Charles over
Yes,
there.
sir.
So subscribe to those things. We got Psychological Warfare. I made an album. It's got tracks on it. I'm going to tell you in your moments of weakness not to be weak, and some pragmatic reasons why that's not going to be a good call.
What if like you're about to like pound like half a container of baklava? Like is that like
I don't have one for
see what I'm
that
saying?
because there's a lot of
kinda,
positive reinforcement there.
Yeah, it's like
Mm.
kind of like it's kind of weird. It's hard.
Flipsidecanvas.com. my brother Dakota Meyer, making cool stuff to hang on your wall. We got a bunch of books. I got a new book coming out called Final Spin, available for pre-order right now. And in fact, I just got done recording the audio. I read the audio. I was going to have actors and actresses do the audio. But then when you see the book and you read the book, you'll be like, it doesn't fit. Because the book is just sparse and raw and bare and confrontational almost in its approach. And so having a bunch of actors and actresses wasn't like that. So I just read the whole thing myself. So Final Spin, pre-order that. I've had a bunch of people at camp that preemptively apologize to me when they give me a book to sign because it's second edition, third edition, whatever.
Brutal.
They feel bad. Look, I don't want you to feel that bad about it, but let's face it, we both know that you hesitated at the moment of truth. So get that first edition Final Spin, Leadership Strategy and Tactics Field Manual, the code, the evaluations, the protocols, Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual, Way of the Warrior Kid 1, 2, 3, and 4, Mikey and the Dragons, About Face by Hackworth. Been signing that one lately, which is cool. Extreme Ownership and The Dichotomy of Leadership that I wrote with my brother Leif Babin. Echelon Front, speaking of Leif Babin, we have a leadership consultancy. We solve problems through leadership. Go to echelonfront.com if you want help inside your organization with leadership. That's also where you can find the details for our live events, including the muster, including field training exercises, including EF Battlefield. Next muster is Las Vegas. It's not on the strip of Las Vegas. It's at a place called the Red Rock Hotel. And so it's not one of those situations where you go and it's, we're just going to party. It's not like that. It's separate. So it's like a 20, maybe a 30-minute drive. So most of you don't want to come out and party anyways. But if you want to bring like your company out there and you're thinking, I don't want to have the issues of bringing everyone out there, it's not like that. So that's what we're doing. The next one, that's the next muster. It's in Las Vegas, October 28th and 29th. Also have online training, Extreme Ownership Academy. What's cool is seeing people from Origin doing that.
Everybody
it's
from
awesome.
Origin is doing it. That's really a lot of our success and alignment with our management team. Middle management and upper management is getting on there. My wife is a savage about it. Like if you miss a training, like some serious shit better have happened in your life. Like straight up. Why weren't you on the training? She's
and
really aggressive.
I've talked Amanda through a few situations, like over the years of, this is what's going on. She's like, hey, can you give me a call and talk to me about this? And I think what she realizes is all that information that I've given her personally is also available to everybody on your team and everybody who ever wants to sign in. And what a incredible way. The thing about leadership is it's really easy to get distracted and go to your primordial instincts of how you think you should act. And that's wrong. In many cases, it's wrong. So getting that leadership primer every couple times, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, checking in, seeing what's going on and getting that in your brain, it's so freaking good for you. So that's why
it's an awesome resource.
Your wife is in the game. Go to extremeownership.com. And if you want to help service members, active, retired, their families, Gold Star families, if you want to donate or get involved in a charity organization called americasmightywarriors.org. It's run by Mark Lee's mom, Mama Lee. She's making things happen. She has a huge impact. So check out americasmightywarriors.org if you want to get involved or if you want to donate. And if you want more of my lagging lyrical lopes, or you need more of Echo's chatter, then, you can find us on the interwebs, on Twitter, on the gram, on Facebook. Echo's at Echo Charles. I am at Jocko Willink. Pete, unverified,
dang, bro,
is at Pete M. Roberts.
I got to change that. I'm just going to change it to Pete Origin. So, you think I should do that?
I don't know. I think you should just use Origin USA.
I do. Oh, no, I do. It's my primary.
Yeah, so I think the other one, I don't know.
What is the difference?
It's going to grow like, my personal one, I do more personal stuff.
And then Origin is kind of like...
Oh, so should we even say it right now? The personal one?
Pete.
If it's personal stuff?
Pete.m.roberts. No, I mean, it's... When I say personal stuff, I like post like training stuff, like
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
jujitsu
Yeah.
stuff.
But isn't
so
that Origin USA?
It is, but Origin USA is going to grow well beyond me.
So you
gonna
got a little,
transcend
you got a
me.
little
That makes
background. Got it. You have Twitter, Origin BJJ.
Yes.
Are you in Twitter? Are you in the Twitter game anymore?
I mean, I get on like once a month.
So not really.
Not really, but I mean,
Okay.
I get on there because I get a bunch of build up of messages and stuff. So I
Jocko
gotta
Fuel.
get somebody to do that.
JockoFuel.com.
Yeah, we're working on a new website for Jocko Fuel.
OriginUSA.com.
Yes, sir.
So that's where we're at. Did I miss anything? For how to find us?
Nah.
Yeah, I mean, and at this point, anyone that's still listening, it definitely knows where we're at. So we're just talking to it's talking about an audience of one. There's one person that's working a 48-hour shift in Alaska right now. That's like, man, I hope they keep talking.
Yeah.
He's got nothing else to do. So those thanks. But if you are still here, and everybody that is here, man, thanks to all of you. Thanks for supporting the cause. Thanks for supporting Origin and Jocko Fuel. And by doing that, thank you for supporting America. And look, everything that we're talking about, every single thing that we're talking about, what we're doing right now, from the podcast that we're doing to the gear that we're making to the fuel that we're supplying to the world, zero of this is possible without what you're doing, without your support. And we are all in this together. So thank you, and let's freaking go. And to all our military out there right now, we are recording this in August 2021. Afghanistan is in a downward spiral, and I do not know what you all are going to be called to do, but I wish you good luck, Godspeed, and I know you will not fail your comrades in arms, and I know you will not fail our country. So thank you for your service, and thank you for putting yourselves in harm's way to protect the freedom that we enjoy and love here. So thank you. And to our police and law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, dispatchers, correctional officers, Border Patrol, Secret Service, and all first responders, thank you for protecting us and keeping us safe here on the home front. And to anybody else out there, this is what we're doing. It's not just our dream. This is the American dream. That's what it is. To create, to build, to work together, to help and support each other. That's what we're doing. To chase and grind and risk and work and execute, and to turn this dream, our dream, your dream, into a reality. And to quote Lenny, I can make that work. And we all can do the same thing. We can make this work. And until next time, this is Pete and Echo and Jocko. Out.